Well, good afternoon. It is Saturday, 4/16, June 20th, 2026. Now, the reason I am doing this video is I want to do something a little different. There are 5 have them all stanzas I want to read. And the reason is I think some of us need to be reminded of things. And this is kind of my response to this Department of War, Department of Defense memo that's going out that changed a lot of the religious codes that everybody in the pagan community is upset about. At every doorway before you enter, you should look around. You should take a good look around, for you never know where your enemies might be seated within. That is stanza 1. And if anyone is wondering, I am reading Jackson Crawford's translation. It's very popular, I know, and I prefer it in a lot of cases because it's easy to understand. You should never go even a single step without a weapon at your side. You never know when you might find yourself in the need of a spear. Two men will defeat one. Your tongue can endanger your head. In every hand hidden by a cloak, I expect to see a weapon. And I am directly reading from Jackson Crawford's Wanderers Have 'Em All, so nobody can say I misquoted anything. I counsel you, Lord Affinir, and I know my pronunciation in some cases needs a little work. If you take my advice, you'll profit if you learn it. It'll do you good if you remember it. You should never exchange words with someone who won't see reason. And the last one. I counsel you, Lord Affinir, if you'll take my advice, you'll profit if you learn it. It'll do you good to remember it. When you recognize evil, call it evil and give your enemies no peace. I read both of the memos. Do I agree with what the Department of Defense did? I read the old one when they put a lot of religious codes up to 120. And I read the new one when they knocked it down to about 30. I do agree with it from a managerial point of view. I looked at some of those faiths that had religious codes, and I had to look them up. Some of them I've never even heard of. I would say short term, the DOD did the right thing. Obviously, the Secretary of War has a vision. He is trying to clean up a lot of messes, and I think this is part of it. Do I think he deliberately is targeting pagans? I see no evidence of that. I know there's a lot of scuttlebutt. I know there's a lot of people that, unsubstantiated reports saying, yes, that pagans are being targeted. They don't like the fact that the majority of the new codes all center around Christianity. They don't like the fact that he, at least on one occasion, has led a prayer group or a group of soldiers in prayer. And, well, that I have no objection to. The man's Christian. He has a right to be loyal to his religion. And if there are others in the military that want to join him in prayer, they should be allowed to. I've seen nothing to indicate that, he is targeting people because of their faith. I honestly don't think that he or the president would be that stupid to open themselves up to First Amendment right to religion challenges. They just got the recruitment back on track. The morale is high. It makes no sense why he would make an enemy. The reason I picked those 5 passages was the fact that people need to be reminded there are a lot of con men and tricksters and deceivers out there. We have an administration that is very embattled. They have a lot of political opponents, both foreign and domestic. I can see them using this memorandum as just more fuel for the fire to hurt them. I am not saying, I hate getting political. I am saying think for yourselves. And you all need to think about, your faith. And if this rattles your faith, that's a problem. And I will call out something else, and I'm sure this whole video is going to get me, a ton of negative criticism. The pagan faiths fell asleep at the wheel, in a manner of speaking, especially on the American side, because they let anybody in. I would question some of the ones that have left in saying that they are Wiccan or they are pagan or what have you, because it's a way for them to hide their lifestyle choices that the Department of War is not accepting of, and their political affiliations. And I know that I have gotten attacked for my political affiliations because, yes, I voted for Trump this time around. I even had one person say, if you voted for Trump, you can't be pagan. Well, guess what? I wasn't going to, mess around. I just didn't want to deal with them. I blocked them. I am saying, look, sit, think, where is this coming from? I believe that there are people in the military that want to hurt the president and the Secretary of War. They want to make them look bad. They want them gone. They don't want them in charge of the military. I know that Pete Hegseth pissed a lot of generals off, a lot of admirals. You need to think about that. You need to think about where this is coming from. And I know that some social media spaces were encouraging people to write to your legislatures to protest this memorandum. I will not be doing that. I live in a very deep blue state, namely Massachusetts, and I know what will happen if I complain. It will either, one of two things are going to happen. Either it is going to be ignored, or it is going to be used as fuel for the fire. I will not contribute to someone else's cause. I will not kneel. I want nothing to do with anybody with a Democrat, any politician, any so-called leader that has the moniker of Democrat after their name. They are not friends, especially of the pagans. So like I said, before you all complain, before you all jump on the bandwagon, take a minute, breathe, and think. That is what I am encouraging you to do. I read the memos. There is nothing to say that they are not going to put something appropriate on the dog tags. And if somebody wants to challenge my words, fine, show me some proof. Put it in writing. Give me a name. Because I'm done listening to propaganda. I'm done listening to innuendo, speculation, and other BS. And I know I'm just a force of one. I have no affiliation with any groups like the Astro Folk Assembly or Odin's Children or the Odinic Rites or anything like that. So, I'm one voice. Take it for what it's worth. That's all I've got to say on this.